They smiled on stage for decades, but behind the scenes Donny and Marie Osmond were falling apart. By 2019, after 11 years of their Las Vegas show, they couldn't even take photos together. Meet and greets were separate. Promotional materials shot individually. What the public never saw, the lawsuit that exposed everything. Accusations of greed, manipulation, and betrayal that tore apart America's most famous brother duo. This is the story of how America's favorite siblings became strangers. Marie Osmond was born on October 13, 1959 in Ogden, Utah. She was the eighth of 9 children and the only girl in a house full of boys. But Marie's early years were different. While the boys practiced and performed, she stayed home with her mother. Music was always in the background, part of daily life. Marie once said she couldn't remember a single day of childhood without music playing or being practiced. Even though she wasn't performing yet, the music soaked in. She had a special bond with Donny. They were always together, playing, laughing, and sometimes driving their mother crazy with their wild energy. The Osmond story, though, began with a painful twist. The first 2 children, Verl and Tom, were born with serious hearing problems. Doctors warned George and Olive Osmond not to have more kids. They even told them to send the boys to an institution, but Olive refused. She believed in something stronger than doctors, her faith. She homeschooled her sons and chose to keep growing her family. That decision brought 7 more children into the world, all of them with normal hearing. Ironically, it was Verl and Tom's hearing issues that pushed the family into showbiz. The boys started performing in 1958 to help raise money for hearing aids. What began as a necessity soon grew into something much bigger. Their father George ran the house like a drill sergeant. He had served in the United States Army and brought that same discipline home. Mornings started with reveille on a bugle. Meals were announced with military-style sound-offs. If you were disrespectful, you got a spanking. But George's strictness wasn't without love. Donny recalled those early years as full of laughter. Despite the rules, George expected perfection, not just in behavior but in their performances too. Every move, every note had to be flawless. The family business began small, with local church performances. Alan was just 8 when he started. Jay was only 2. A lucky encounter at Disneyland in the late 50s changed everything. The boys were spotted singing on Main Street, and soon they were invited to appear on national TV. They joined the Andy Williams Show, and little Donny made his debut singing "You Are My Sunshine" at just 5 years old. Their success grew fast, but it came at a cost. Rehearsals replaced school. Touring took over childhood. But it worked. Financially, they thrived. At 13, Marie took a chance. She recorded a demo of Dolly Parton's "Coat of Many Colors." MGM Records liked what they heard and signed her immediately. She flew to Nashville and in her first session recorded 9 songs. Her focus and preparation amazed everyone. This was the beginning of her solo career. In 1973, when she was just 14, "Paper Roses" came out. It was an instant hit, #1 on the United States country chart, #5 on the pop chart, #2 in the UK. She became the youngest female country artist to debut at #1 in the United States. Her album followed and topped the country charts, proving she wasn't just a one-hit wonder. Marie followed that with more hits, "In My Little Corner of the World" and "Who's Sorry Now?" Then came the duet era. She and Donny teamed up for "I'm Leaving It All Up to You," which did well, and they kept recording together. Hits like "Morning Side of the Mountain" and "Deep Purple" kept them in the charts. Meanwhile, when Donny recorded "One Bad Apple" at age 12, something clicked. He stopped singing like a robot and started thinking like a musician. For the first time, he wasn't just repeating lines, he was feeling them. That small shift would turn him from a cute kid on stage into a serious artist. And that's when the chaos really began. By the early 1970s, Donny wasn't just famous. He was a full-blown teen idol. What people called Osmond Mania hit especially hard in the UK. Girls screamed his name, chased his car, mobbed hotels, and packed every venue he visited. It was so intense that Donny once had to hide under a restaurant table just to escape a stampede of fans. In 1973 alone, the Osmonds had 13 songs charting in the UK. It wasn't hype, it was hysteria. His concerts were so loud that the music got drowned out by screams. He even remembered playing in Nashville, where the fans were so loud it felt like the sound could crack the walls. Teen magazines couldn't get enough of him either. His face was everywhere, from Tiger Beat to 16. Girls adored him, and their brothers resented him. That mix of love and hate shaped Donny's life in ways most people never saw. While his fans screamed with love, the critics sharpened their knives. At just 15, Donny faced one of the harshest reviews in music history. Rolling Stone magazine said the worst day in rock was the day he was born. He never forgot it. He was still a kid trying to figure out who he was, and suddenly the biggest music magazine in the world was calling his very existence a mistake. It crushed him. Later, he called it the worst kind of bullying. It didn't stop there. In the 1980s, his name became a punchline in the music industry. When guitarist Phil Collen of Def Leppard played on Donny's album, his name had to be removed from the credits because no one wanted to be linked to him. Even after sold-out shows, newspapers tore him down the next day. That kind of contrast, cheers at night, insults in the morning, left scars that didn't fade easily. But the damage wasn't just emotional. It got physical too. One night in Manchester, Donny was walking into a hotel when a fan rushed him. She held a pen and an autograph book and came at him with full force. She didn't mean harm, she just wanted a moment with her idol. But when she hugged him, the pen jabbed straight into his eye. And right then, a camera flash went off. The light burned into his already damaged eye and left a permanent mark on his retina. He almost lost his sight. Donny still thinks about it to this day. The scar is still there, a reminder of how fame can swing from love to danger in a heartbeat. Yet instead of blaming the girl, he showed compassion. She didn't know, he said. She was just overwhelmed. Meanwhile, Marie's journey was also fraught with challenges. When she was just 15, she was already a star on the hit show Donny and Marie. But behind the bright lights and smiling performances, something much darker was happening. The people who ran the studio weren't just strict, they were cruel. Marie was already thin, weighing only 103 pounds. But they told her she was too fat. One day they took her to a parking lot and gave her a brutal choice: lose 10 pounds or the show gets cancelled. They didn't stop there. They told her she was an embarrassment to her family, that she should stop stuffing food into her fat face. It wasn't just criticism. It was mental torture. Desperate to keep her job, Marie started starving herself. Sometimes she wouldn't eat for 3 days before filming. Other times she only drank lemon water mixed with cayenne pepper and maple syrup, just to stay under 93 pounds. It wasn't healthy and it wasn't safe. But she felt trapped. That pressure stayed with her for years. She went through cycle after cycle of yo-yo dieting, trying every diet she could find. It took decades before she finally understood what had happened to her. It wasn't just pressure. It was abuse. And it left deep scars. But that wasn't the only trauma she carried. Long before the cameras and the fame, Marie was hiding another painful secret. At just 8 or 9 years old, she was sexually abused by people her parents trusted. The abuse was so intense, it completely changed how she saw men. They made her feel sick. She couldn't trust them. She didn't even know how to be around them. That confusion made her question everything, including her own identity. She started wondering if she might be gay, not because of desire, but because the abuse had broken her ability to understand what she was feeling. Marie first opened up about this in her memoir and later on The Talk. Her voice shook as she spoke, but she was finally ready to share the truth. Healing took time, a lot of it. And even though the abuse didn't come from her family, it was the good men in her life, her brothers and her father, who helped her begin to trust again. They showed her that not all men were cruel or dangerous. Slowly, she started to rebuild. Through all that pain, she still tried to find love. As a young star, she dated Andy Gibb and the youngest brother from the Bee Gees. He was charming and talented, but drugs took hold of him. Marie watched helplessly as his health declined, and in the end, she had to walk away. It broke her heart. Later, she also confirmed dating Eric Estrada, the TV star from Chips. Though she never talked much about that chapter. Marriage wasn't easy either. She married Stephen Craig in 1982, but it didn't last. They divorced 3 years later. In 1986, She married music producer Brian Blowsill. They had 7 children together, but the relationship had its own struggles. In 1998, while battling postpartum depression, they separated. By 2007, they were officially divorced. Looking back, Marie admitted that she had rushed into the relationship before fully understanding herself. Then something unexpected happened. After decades apart, she reunited with her first husband, Stephen Craig. This time things were different. They both had changed, and somehow they made it work. In 1974, Donny and his sister Marie recorded "I'm Leaving It All Up to You." It wasn't a new song, but their version hit different. It had a soft country pop feel, and it quickly climbed the charts, reaching number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100, number 1 on the Adult Contemporary chart. That one single, backed with "The Umbrella Song," didn't just become a hit, it became the key that opened the door to TV stardom. Their chemistry was undeniable, and it didn't go unnoticed. In 1975, they got a chance to guest host The Mike Douglas Show for a week. Fred Silverman, the president of ABC TV, happened to be watching. He saw something special in them, something fresh, charming, and family-friendly. He took a risk and offered the teenage duo their very own primetime variety show. Donny was only 18. Marie was just 16. No one that young had ever hosted a variety show before. It was bold, but it worked. When Donny and Marie premiered in January 1976, it drew around 14 million viewers a week. The show quickly became a hit. First filmed in Los Angeles, but later moved to the Osmond family studio in Utah. That move came after they fought for more creative control. But while they were winning on screen, things behind the scenes weren't so glamorous. Marie, still a teenager, was put under intense pressure to look a certain way. Producers. Marie Osmond endured immense pressure in her early career. She was constantly criticized for her weight, called an embarrassment, and even threatened with job loss unless she slimmed down. One producer claimed he was trying to help her poor eating habits, but the pressure led Marie to extreme diets that left her weak and unable to perform. She described feeling like an ugly duckling next to glamorous guest stars. Despite public success, the Osmond family faced financial disaster, losing $80 to $100 million due to bad investments and mismanagement. The only thing that saved them from total collapse was real estate their father had wisely purchased. Donny's secret 1978 marriage was kept quiet for years to protect his image, but once revealed, it led to plummeting ratings. Their show was rebranded and reworked, but by 1979, the network canceled it. Donny's solo career struggled. Despite early success, he was dismissed as a relic of the past. By the 90s, he suffered crippling anxiety and was diagnosed with social anxiety disorder, yet he kept performing, over 2,000 times as Joseph in Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Marie, meanwhile, reinvented herself in country music in the 80s, scoring multiple hits and awards. In the 90s, she also launched a successful doll business, designing over 200 dolls, a personal project rooted in her childhood. Behind her smiling image, Marie faced deep pain. After giving birth to her 7th child in 1999, she battled postpartum depression. A decade later, tragedy struck when her 18-year-old son Michael died by suicide. She returned to work shortly after, saying she needed to show her other children how to keep living. When her daughter Jessica married a woman, Marie publicly supported her despite backlash, saying no one should be shamed for loving their child. In 2008, Donny and Marie began a 6-week Las Vegas residency that lasted 11 years. They performed 1,730 shows, drawing nearly 1 million fans. Despite the success, tension grew behind the scenes. Rumors swirled of a rift. By 2019, they ended the show, and Marie reportedly vowed never to perform with Donny again. Marie Osmond has faced loss, public judgment, and crushing pressure, but through it all, she chose resilience. Again and again, she chose life.